Welcome to the JALTCALL podcast. I'm your host for the day, Brian Gallagher, and I'm joined by Geoff Carr in Hokkaido. Hi, Geoff.
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
And I'm also joined today by Joe Suzuki Parker. Hi, Joe.
Yes, sir. Hello, Brian.
I think most of the listeners know myself and Geoff, but you're joining as a guest today. Can you give us a little 1 minute about yourself so the listeners can have some idea?
Sure. Yeah. So I came to Japan about 15 years ago, just after the Great Northern Console earthquake. It's kind of weird because everyone at that time was like, "Why did you come here? Everyone's running away." So I was going the other direction, and I got into just like everyone. I just got into teaching English. I started in an Eikaiwa, and from there. I worked for about 5 years and then just quit everything and decided to dive headfirst into Japanese culture. And I joined what better to do than join a professional band and tour Kanto. So
So you're a musician. What
There you
kind of
go.
music do you play, and what instrument do you play?
I play all types of music. The band that I was in, Wabi Sabi, we played kind of funk, just a bunch of cool like Motown stuff. It was great. It was fun, but it
Wow.
was grueling. I did it because I wanted to really improve my Japanese, but just get headfirst into Japanese culture. And I worked at
Mm.
Tully's for like a year and stuff, and then I was like, all right, I think I want to go back. So I got my master's from the University of Birmingham, and then yeah, I've just been doing uni from then, and I've been involved in probably junk call stuff for maybe the last 2, 3 years. Just I've always been into technology, but on the research side of it. Yeah, so this will be my first Jalt call conference though, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Excellent.
That is awesome.
You're very welcome.
Yeah,
Glad to have you with us, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
welcome. Okay, so today, everybody, we're going to be talking about uh, what we've really established over the last 6 months. So, as listeners maybe know, we just started in December of last year with our first preview. So we've been running. This will be our 6th month, and already in the 6 months we've been running, we've had a number of interviews. So back in the early days, we had Rob Herschel down at Sojo, and he talked about AI corrected feedback with his Moodle plugin. After that, we had Dr. Louise Ohashi, building AI literacy, and that was at the JAL Hokkaido Winter Conference in January with
Right.
Geoff, right?
And yep, I interviewed Louise with Robert Dykes, another member of the podcast team who's not with us here
Right,
tonight. He might drop in. We never know with
right, and
Rob.
of
I,
course, Louise is involved with the Eurocall AI SIG as well, right?
she's the chair of the Eurocall AI SIG,
Mhm.
and Louise has been doing amazing work giving workshops, teaching people how to use AI in the classroom, and just showing them what the possibilities are. I've really appreciated being able to talk to her over the
Right, right.
last
So
year or
I
so.
just saw today that Louise is going to be coming down to Nagoya. Nagoya and Gifu now have a joint chapter, and so she's going to come down and she's going to be talking about exactly that, that kind of stuff. So, of course, with the Eurocall AI SIG, so we then had Chris Fry from Barcelona. Um,
Hmm.
Geoff, that was another one
And
with you, right?
I interviewed Chris, and he is absolutely fascinating. He's lived an amazing life. He graduated with maths degree from Cambridge, and had decided that he was going to uh, go to South America. But in order to improve his Spanish first, he went to Spain, and he just wound up teaching there with the British Council and got into text to speech technologies way back in the day when that was all on tape. And so he talked us through his entire career and a lot of the stuff that he's doing. And even though he's retired now, he is still continuing to use a lot of online AI tools. And he's really doing some very interesting work in how someone who doesn't have maybe a full university behind them can utilize that technology and for their own study or for teaching students. He's a really
Yeah,
fascinating guy to talk to.
sounded like he had a big catalog. He had hours and hours of recordings. So I
Like
don't envy. I,
thousands of hours.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Wow.
envy that task of changing things from cassette to digital.
Mm.
That'll maybe take
Jeff,
a
that
year.
was actually the first podcast that I listened to you guys. That's right.
Really?
It was the first
Oh
one that
my.
hit off the radar. Yeah, yeah, it was Stephen Fry. I was like, oh man, I want to listen to this one. Or Chris Fry, I want to listen to this guy.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this is a pretty legit podcast.
Oh my goodness.
So
All right,
thank
you're
Right.
you for
saying
So
all the
that.
right stuff there, Joe.
yeah, so the ones that we followed on after that. So of course there was David Kluge. He's a kind of good friend of mine. So he was one of the SIG founding fathers back 28 years ago now, a long
Okay.
time ago. So
Hmm.
David knows everything there is to know about this SIG, and soon after that we had Paul Rain, and so Paul's company Ego AI is actually the main sponsor for the conference this year. But we talked about Zengengo and Ego AI, which is his main thing. Paul actually has another project which is in beta just now. So I'm actually a beta tester for his, which is Lingo
Oh,
Lesson.
cool.
That's his next new thing.
Mm.
But the focus just now is on the larger projects that are actually fully going. So
Okay.
Ego AI.
Yeah.
Paul is an incredible interview. He's so knowledgeable, and you can ask him a question not only about what he's doing, but about the implications of what he's doing and why he's doing it.
Yep,
And
he's sharp.
he pauses for a second, and then he gives you a full paragraph answer right there that seems very well reasoned out. He's absolutely wonderful to talk to and interview, and
Well,
you did a
that's what you
great
get
job
when
on
you have
that
an
one.
when you have an expert, right? When you have an expert, and you ask the right question, boom,
Mhm.
you get the great
Hmm.
answers
Yeah.
that you want to have.
That's it.
I would love to meet him sometime. I think he and I are kind of up the same alley in terms of what we're looking to do with AI in the future and stuff. I'd love to meet that guy.
So
Well,
you,
you're
Heard
going
a
to
lot
be
about
right
him.
there at JALTCALL in July, so
Yeah,
make sure you meet him there.
definitely.
yeah. Okay, and so another interview that has finished, but it's not gone out yet, is on virtual exchanges, and that was with Robert Remerswell and Eric Hagley. Eric Hagley was the creator of the IVE project, the IVE project,
Hmm.
which is all about international virtual exchanges. So we're not going to talk about that too much because that's coming up in
Yes.
a very kind of like soon.
So, everybody, that's a hint by Brian that you need to listen to this interview, which is going to be coming up later on this month.
Right. So, Geoff, of course, you are the program's chair. Can you tell us about the the events that we've had so far this year, and then the ones that are soon coming up?
All right. Thanks, Brian. We had a revival of our spring symposium, a collaboration with Eurocall this spring. And our reps from that were Judy Wang and John Gayed. And they talked about a custom AI, custom GPT for evaluation of argumentative writing that they have put together. And they talked about it right from the fine tuning stage all the way up through how teachers can use it. And you can go ahead and contact Judy or John and use that if you are working on argumentative writing with your students. It was amazing. There were definitely parts of it that were over my head, but it was absolutely amazing.
How
And then
how
Chris
many people
Fry,
how many people were in that? I thought it was quite a lot, right?
yes, we had, let's see, I want to say 75. It was in the 70s, total attendees at the online symposium. Peak was 54, 55 people at one time during the first half. And this is a setup for Jalt Call. We're hoping to revive the spring symposium as a live event beginning next year. We're going to be doing that next year. We have a site already in mind. We'd like to do just a 1 day event somewhere in an easy access area that a lot of people can come to. Sort of a counterbalance to our conference. Have 2 live events each year. It'd be a lot of fun.
Mm.
And that leads right into talking about in-person events. Now, Brian, we had a forum at Pansig in May that was very well attended, and you were there. So could I ask you to talk about that a little bit?
So I was there, kind of like in part. So actually, my own individual presentation was scheduled at the same time, which was a bit of a faux pas on the scheduling. But yeah, so the theme for the forum was applying AI in language education, and we had presentations, very short presentations by
Mhm.
again Louise Ohashi, Gilbert Dizon, Nikan Fuji, and our very own Professor Emeritus Hiroyuki Obari. And so we had short presentations from them, and then there was kind of like more directed questions. So that the MC was Michael Hoffmeyer, who is the site chair this year for the conference. And so the forum itself was only 60 minutes. Normally they were 90 minutes long. So because it was 60, there was only about 5 minutes at the end for Q&A. So I think that next year for the forums, they're going to go back up to 90. So that people can really kind of like get more out of it. So of course, like some small SIGs don't need the whole time, but that's fine. They'll have a choice of 60 or 90 minutes. But it was fairly well attended. We even had a journalist came and he was asking questions about the data that AIs are trained on. So
He was bringing up the whole intellectual property issue.
intellectual property, right?
there.
Yeah, which is a very legit thing to say. So
Well, it
I guess,
is, and Japan actually is quite an outlier in terms of intellectual property policy for AI training.
yep, you
Uh,
can copy almost anything
Essentially, you can
for
do almost
yourself.
anything here,
Yeah,
which
Wow.
as long as you're not selling
is, yeah,
CDs on a street corner,
that's
right?
either forward thinking or extremely feudal. I'm not sure exactly which, but
It's
it's
probably
kind of
more likely they
interesting.
just don't have any regulations or anything about it. They might be behind the ball.
Well, that might be, Joe. I think you're right. But on the other hand, Japan's other intellectual property restrictions are
Are
generally in line
pretty
with
rigid.
international, yeah, standards, or even more
Hmm.
so. They go after people for all kinds of violations. So I'm not sure exactly what it is, except maybe they do have a sense that they've fallen behind in it, and they want to make it easier for Japan-based companies to catch up.
Yeah, so it's
Is
Yeah.
my guess.
personal use. The limitation is you can copy something as long as it's for your own personal use. Like
Mhm.
I used to go to Tsutaya and buy like a Sony mini disc and then copy some CDs, and I thought, like I can't do this at the counter. They're gonna say something. And it was like, no, totally legal. On you go. So no problem.
So I guess
Again,
we're not going to need to cut that part of the podcast, are we, Brian? There
well,
we
it's
go.
totally legal. Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. Right. Okay. So the next kind of like in-person conference. So of course we've got our own conference coming up. So we're going to talk about that a little bit in part
hmm
two.
And
But we've
also,
all
Brian, you mentioned going back to 90-minute forums, and that is exactly the length that the forum by JALTCALL is going to be at the JALT International Conference in late October, early November this year. We're still putting together the format for that, but we have several people who are interested in appearing and forming a panel, answering some questions, or helping out with some problems. We're aiming to have a lot of audience participation at the
yep,
forum.
yep.
It's going to be in Yoyogi at the, what is it, the Youth
Yeah, the
Olympic
Olympic, yeah, the
Center,
Youth
I
Olympic
believe.
Centre.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
old Olympic Centre, not the new one.
Hmm.
So yeah, so it'll be another trip to Tokyo. That's going to be 3 trips to Tokyo this year. So Pansig, Jalt Call, and Jalt International. So
Well, all
yeah,
of my kids are in Tokyo, or well, almost. They all will be in Tokyo by October this year, so I am not complaining about it at all.
so yeah, you're driving the Hokkaido bus all the way there.
Let me tell you, yeah, it's a canoe. It's a canoe, man.
It's a canoe.
No. Right, okay, so rocking on to the next part, so we're going to try and do here is just about our publication. So, of course, the JALTCALL podcast. So, yes, podcasts, interviews, and other recordings are legitimate professional listings that can be added to your digital resume, especially in Research Map and all of the other kind of like listings. So, for myself, I've got Research Map, ResearchGate, academia, Google Scholar, etc. Plus, I've got my own digital resume on my website where I keep all my catalog of stuff. So the question: should a podcast be listed as a single professional activity or episode listed separately? So the answer to that question is separately. So they count as a professional publication, just like any other publication. So now in my
Is
research
that
map,
so?
yeah, so every single episode. So actually, on the JALTCALL website, I have made a guide on how you can APA 7th edition style of reference our episodes. If you choose to do so, please do. I love a citation when I get
It's
one.
fantastic.
Proactive,
But a rare breed.
proactive. Oh my
Uh,
goodness, we all need to get that up, get that up
yeah,
there
so
on
actually
those tables.
in research map there is a section kind of like towards the end that's actually called media, and whether that
Hmm.
is newspaper or
Yeah.
online or kind of like a podcast or TV or whatever, it all
Hmm.
gets listed there. So it's as legit. In fact, you'll probably find that a lot of people don't have something in that box. So
Hmm.
it's another what do we call it? Another feather to your, what's the phrase?
Feather in your cap.
A feather in your cap, right? Okay.
Hmm.
Tool in your tool
Right, okay. And
bag.
so the other two things that we've got,
Hmm.
so we've got the JALTCALL journal. So of course, JALTCALL journal is Scopus Q1 ranking. Well, it was in 2023. The acceptance rate for that is quite strict. It's only 7% acceptance rate, but that's obviously why it's listed as a Q1 ranking journal. But it's also indexed in MLA International and ERIC and EBSCO. I had to Google what ERIC was. It is the Education Resources Information Center. And
Which
EBSCO.
has incidentally been defunded by the Trump administration to some degree,
Oh
and
no,
there
no, we're not
is,
doing the
yeah,
Trump
no.
talk. No, we're not doing the Trump talk. There's like,
Woo!
we've
Is it
only,
going to go that way or it's going to go this way?
yeah. Right, okay. And the other one, EBSCO. So EBSCO is the
I'm
Elkin
sorry.
Bryson Stevens Company.
Hmm.
So I'm not exactly sure the significance of the acronyms, whatever, but it's a Scopus Q1 ranking journal. So of course we encourage people to put in there, and then of course the
And
last
one of
one
our
is
plenary speakers for Jalt Call this summer is, in fact, uh, a, a longtime editor of the
right.
Jalt Call Journal, Glenn Stockwell. So
Yep.
I don't remember exactly how many years he was the editor, but I know it was over a decade.
Yep.
Pretty sure,
Yep.
but
Mm.
I don't
So
have
of
the
course
exact number.
Glenn will be at the conference. So if people want to ask questions, I'm sure Glenn will make some time.
Exactly.
Okay, and then the last one before we wrap up for section one is JALTCALL Trends. So JALTCALL Trends is a different arrow again. Short articles are very similar to the Eurocall publication, and so I think they are round about somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000 words. I'm not sure exactly what the
I
word
think
count
they
is.
accept things in that range, even a little bit shorter right now, but they're looking to expand that. The Jalt Call 2025 conference chair, Michael Hoffmeyer, is in fact the current editor of Jalt Call Trends, and he's been working to get this going very fast. And we're really looking forward to seeing what the first issue looks like when it comes out
What is the
at the end of
theme?
it.
What's the theme about the journal?
You would ask me, and I do not know. I am suddenly ashamed.
So I don't think there
Um,
is a specific theme to the journal.
Hmm.
So the journal just puts out publications of work that people have put together. I think you probably find that a lot of people who come and present at the conference, they
Hmm.
maybe can put together a smaller article and then submit that for consideration. It's not an
mhm.
automatic, but it's certainly something that we guide
Sure.
people
Yeah.
in that direction. Right, everybody, that is us for section one. Join us again in a couple of minutes for section two. See you then. Hi, welcome back, everybody, to the Jalt Call podcast with me, Brian Gallagher, Geoff Carr, and Joe Suzuki Parker. Section two now, we're going to try and talk about some of the projects that members are working on, featured speakers for the conference, what's going to be on the schedule for everybody, and then a little bit of kind of like information at the end. So, Geoff, some of the projects that members are working on, can you tell us what you're working on?
Well, Brian, this year I'm continuing an online internship program, which I use Australian university students in an internship program that they have to work with my classes. I mostly have them doing support in writing, but also live sessions with students, 3 live sessions for all students per term. And this year, what we have been focusing on is identifying language interactions and environments that can be usefully scaffolded with a custom GPT. We've already deployed a couple that train students in how to give better feedback on
Mm-hmm. Right, right,
the
right.
peer feedback for writing and that. And right now, I have the interns going through the second round of live meetings. Yes, sorry, my brain burped right there. Live meetings with the students to identify some more. And we're looking at finding something that can support group oriented conversation. The interns themselves are trying to figure some of this out, and I support them through that. And it's just a lot of fun, and it's a good way
Mm.
for me to learn how other people see the capabilities of the GPTs. So it's been a fun experience.
Right, same as
That's what
same
I'm
as
doing.
language learning. You get your initial
Hmm.
stage, and then you get your play stage before you go on to
Yes,
the more advanced. Right? Okay, good stuff. Okay,
exactly.
Joe. So you're working on an app you're going to present at the conference. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Brian. So, past 2 years, I've been working on this app with my brother and a couple other colleagues here in Japan too. And yeah, we're really excited. This app is kind of taking AI in a different direction in terms of AI language apps. Most of the language apps that are out there target students, and they leave the teacher out of the process almost entirely,
Mm.
or they include the teacher, but they don't, they're not allowed to really control the content. The content is developed by the website, developed by the app maker, and they just push that to the students. Our application basically bridges the learning management system technology with chatbot technology, where teachers will log into the website. They'll be able to create a digital classroom, and then they can customize chatbots to their learning content. So we have a couple tools that allow them to do that pretty fast, streamlined. They can take a picture of their textbook, it'll generate a prompt, and then they have a chatbot that's ready for them to deploy to their students in those digital classrooms. And then inside those classrooms, students will join, and then they'll get access to those chatbots. And when they finish learning what they learned from their teacher in the classroom, they go home and they practice that content with a chatbot that the teacher has prepared for them. The teacher also has access to all the students' chats. They can provide feedback in addition to the AI feedback that's given through the conversation. And we built in several different tools for researchers. You could download all of the conversations, which would be great if you wanted to do some research on how accurate, some of the feedback is on that end,
Hmm.
or perhaps how are students interacting with AI and all that stuff. So our app is really, really heavily focused towards supporting teachers instead of replacing them, which we feel like that's really where language apps have been going lately. Now let's
Yeah.
just target the student. We don't need the teacher, leave them out. We feel like teacher needs to be part of that process. They know their students best. They know what kind of content they need to learn, what kind of content they shouldn't learn. And so we kind of put them in control of that process through creating those customized chatbots. Um, but it's been a challenge. This is the feedback engine that we're building out is incredibly complex because, as you know, the rules for spoken English, for any spoken language, are just so loose.
Mhm.
It's a lot harder to build out a feedback engine using AI
Mm.
than it is for speaking than it is for writing. So that's kind of our
Right, right,
challenge right
right.
now, but we're
Mm.
super excited about it.
So I think like probably lots of developers are working, yeah, with a similar goal like globally. So
Yeah.
Paul Rain, who we interviewed before, so of course his company Ego AI is sponsoring the conference. He's also sponsoring our giveaways at the conference. We're doing some cups and some
Oh,
uh,
nice.
different little kind of like trinkets for people. So yeah, Paul expressly said that AI has to be a tool that supports the teacher and is fully
Yeah.
integrated, and so that's definitely the way to go. So what was the name of your app?
The app is TiVo, just like the old first television recorder company. It's actually,
Right.
we decided to go with that because it's teacher
Mhm.
evolution. We believe again that AI is really going to revolutionize kind of the language learning and teaching arena, and we want to be definitely be a part of that. We don't want to leave teachers out of that process. We want to include them in that process. So that's kind of where we're focused at.
Sure. For sure.
Hmm.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
And
So
if they want, they can go to tivo.jp. The website is not 100% built out quite yet, but it needs
Hmm.
to be updated. It might be updated by the time this podcast drops, but
yeah, and so what we'll do is, of course, with every podcast, we have show notes, and there'll be links
okay.
to everything in the show, so people can click on it and they can go right to it. And of course, we'll try and put in kind of like contact details if there's not contact details. The contact details on your
Yeah,
website.
on the website.
Hmm.
It's kind of late to be a beta tester now at this point. We're pretty much ready to launch here. We've got a couple bugs we're working out right now, but
Right.
we will be at the conference. We'll be doing a 20-minute presentation, and then we'll be also doing uh, a 60-minute workshop. And we also
Workshop.
have a booth. I think we're the one of the top tier sponsors, not the top one,
Okay.
but
Okay,
we're up
great
there.
stuff.
So
Great stuff. So we're loads
yeah.
for people to see. For me myself, like I'm going to be promoting the podcast,
Hmm.
and of course we're in discussions now about recruiting of one-time contributors and more. So of course we're always encouraging people to come onto the podcast. So as we said before, podcasts can be listed in your research map as another kind of feather in your cap was the phrase that you used. And so yeah, so we'll be looking for people to come on, whether it's an interview or other. So I'll hopefully be.
Brian, would that mean that if we invite someone onto the podcast to be interviewed,
Yep.
they could in fact classify that appearance as an invited uh, speaking gig under the media category, I
Yeah,
wonder?
for sure, for sure. And
Hmm.
then that could be on as a kind of a listing.
Exactly.
So that it would be exactly the same as if you were uh, like writer number 4 on an academic paper. Like so what like so whoever's the lead, and then it would be fill in. So for example, if it was the three of us here, so Joe would be listed third, and that's what we'll be listed on the JALTCALL podcast page.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Outstanding. Okay.
So I'm also working on a kind of small sub project. So if people want to talk to me about it at the conference, so I'm working on some prompt engineering for writing tasks for students. So the idea is not using AI just to simply write from a basic prompt, like the prompt that the teacher gives you, just put it in and then like spit it out and tinker with it. So the whole idea of my small project is teaching the writing of the prompts, so that that is the skill that we're doing, because as many people maybe don't want to admit it, like AI is like here and it's here to stay. And so I think that we should be training students on how to use that tool. So that's what I'm working on now. So it all goes back to some of the other writing tasks that I used to have in my own classes. So, for example, write an essay that the final sentence is, and that is why I hate ice cream, for example. And so students know what the concluding sentence is, and then they have to go back and they have to formulate what it is. So we're doing some kind of front end, middle, and back. So to try and get students to see how they can work on it. So yeah, if you're
That's
working on something
fantastic,
similar
Brian.
to that,
Hmm.
We do that. I do that too at my university. That's the first class that I teach. Every single class that I have is an AI
right?
lesson where I teach them how to prompt properly. It's amazing. Like it's what I tell them is, if you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. And so you
You go,
have to learn how to
ego, not
prompt.
giga.
You've
You do.
got to learn how to prompt. It's
Right,
so
right.
important.
So we're using AI at uni. We're trying not to use it in the first semester of first year, because we want to get students just like their ICT skills up, whatever. But of course, in the writing classes, we have peer review and teacher review, and then our perfect trifecta is also having AI reviews. So I've written 2 books now and have another thing, which is a triple perspectives approach. And so I
Mm,
consider this as like the
Mm.
trifecta, like so peer, teacher, and AI. And so we don't want it to like as we said before, like cutting out the teacher or cutting out the student, whatever.
right.
It has to be like that combination, so that we've got the best of everything all together.
That's great.
Oh, well, that's what these AIs can do, isn't it? Because they're really incredible at recognizing patterns, and they are fit to recognizing highest probability stuff when they're generating things. But their ability is much, much broader than that when it comes to the uh, pattern processing side of it. So having an
Right.
AI look at what you're doing and give you another perspective on it is, in my mind, one of the best things that you can do. And we're fascinated with the generative side, and I get why, because it's absolutely amazing that they're able to do what they can. But they're still not as good at that as they are with reading and understanding the stuff that you show them. The fact that they're able to understand in depth and distinguish things as they're able to is astounding. And they can really provide great insights for you if you ask them to provide that. Getting them to provide
Well,
direct feedback on writing, anyway, is they're amazingly capable at that.
and not even, I mean, not just providing it for a single student, but at scale. So you
Yes.
could provide a level of detailed feedback to 30 students in a single classroom,
Hmm.
that a single teacher couldn't even do for one student. It would take them
No,
hours. And so it's not just a quality, it's a quantity multiplier. It's just at scale, it's just unbelievable. You can't match it. Humans cannot match that ability. Now,
you
what
really can.
what AI cannot match is the personal experience of the teacher.
Mm.
And that element has to be present in the prompts that are built into, whatever AI you're using, whatever GPT you're using. And that's where I think the future of AI is coming. Right now, I think
Yeah,
we're in this
evolution.
AI boom where
Mm.
you've got AI that's coming in and just pushing all experts out. Like, oh, you don't need an expert. You don't need this. You don't need that. If you use
Hmm.
our GPT, if you use our application, you're going to be an expert at everything. You don't need anything. And I think we're going to blow past that here in the next couple of years. And when things start settling down, these AI applications, these AI application builders are going to start saying, okay, well, I think there's still an element, there's still a space for the human expert. And instead of trying to push them out and fear mongering and all that stuff, I think we need to include experts. And I think the education
Mm.
sector is definitely going to be a part of that. Teachers are going to be involved in this AI process. They have to be. They really have to be, because AI offers humans something that we don't have, and we offer something to AI that they don't. It just doesn't have that personal creative element.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
these AIs offer a potential solution to something that we've been trying to solve for hundreds of years in education, and that Alan Bloom uh, first put into perspective with the two sigma problem, right? That expert tutoring for students raises their performance to two standard deviations above the average, absent all other
Hmm.
factors, all other changes, anything along those lines. It's one of the reasons why I've kept working with live interns, because the results with my students are so exceptional. To have people who are, expert in the language and willing to interact with the students is just incredibly beneficial. But now we have AIs that the students can access, or very soon we'll have AI students can access basically 24/7. That has the potential to have an extraordinary impact. And
Mm.
Yeah,
I really like, I am hopeful about the direction it's going
yeah,
Right.
I,
So
I am too
everybody,
very
we've
much.
just been joined by Luc Goujon down at Sojo University. Hi, Luc. How are you?
in.
Hey guys, how you
Hey,
So
man.
doing? I just came in while you were talking about AI and tutors, so that's a good topic to come in.
so look, you're going to be coming to the conference as well. Are you presenting at the conference?
I will be presenting about the podcast with you, gentlemen,
Right.
but no personal
No.
All
presentation,
right.
sadly.
Okay. So there's going to be the
Luke, do you
Gene.
have another course that you have just started up recently this year? Isn't it? It's something that it focuses on technology a great deal, though. It's not even language centered, is it?
Actually, it will be in
26,
2026.
sorry.
It's a course, yeah, it's a course based on the how to make almost everything from MIT lab. So yes, it's not really a language course, but the students will be encouraged to use English if they want. I will speak to them both in English and
So
Japanese.
that'll be kind of like a CLIL style of approach.
Exactly, and that specific course will be offered in 3 different buildings. In the IoT lab, where we do a little bit more technology and programming. In the Monozukuri Center, where they do metal work and mechanic. And in the design center, where they do more woodwork and plastic and 3D printing.
So,
Sounds very
can you
cool.
explain to us how exactly you're going to be in 3 different places at once?
Yeah, I'm not going to be. It's going to be in successive. The
Okay.
students will start in the students will probably start in the IoT center and just learn the basic of creating design with computers. We have a computer lab inside the IoT center, and just basic programming skills, microcontrollers. And from the microcontrollers, they'll be encouraged to create something that moves or create an enclosure for their creation. So it's going to be an interesting course, I think.
It sounds really fun. Sounds
Sounds
a
Yeah,
great,
great
guys.
time,
We,
Chris.
we,
exciting.
we,
It
we
is.
better we better crack on to our kind of like our final kind of like items there. So of course,
Okay.
with the conference in July, we have got 2 featured speakers. We've got, as we mentioned before in part 1, Glenn Stockwell from Waseda University, and his speech is called "Learning to Tame the Tiger: Self-Directed Professional Development in Language Teaching with Artificial Intelligence." And we also have our international speaker is Matt Schultz from San Diego University. His is on language teaching with Gen AI, bridging the gap or burning the bridge. So, of course, back to Glenn. So, Glenn's a professor of applied linguistics at the Graduate School of International Culture and Communication in Waseda in Tokyo. As Geoff said before, he was for more than a decade the JALTCALL journal editor.
I
So
believe
he's
so.
so he's the author of kind of like mobile assisted language learning concepts, contexts, and challenges. He's the editor of the Cambridge Handbook of Technology in Language Teaching and Learning. Call diversity in research and practice. So he's an all rounder. He's kind of a quiet spoken chap, but his voice carries very well. He's a very good speaker. Somebody to look forward to.
Absolutely. And Matt Schultz, someone to look forward to hearing at the conference, but also the conference chair, uh, Michael Hoffmeyer, is going to be interviewing Matt actually tomorrow from when this podcast is being recorded on June 5th. And that interview will be released both on our website as a YouTube video or possibly just as audio, depends on how that comes out. And it will be released as a special edition here on the podcast for anybody
Yeah,
who's interested
conference
in
edition.
finding out
Yeah.
what Matt has been doing and what he's going to be talking about at JALTCALL 2025 in
So
just
he is
5 weeks.
yeah. So he's a professor
Mm.
of German, right? Professor of
Interesting.
German and also comparative international studies at San Diego State University. Have you guys ever been to San Diego?
Oh yeah,
Never,
many
never.
times.
I have.
Beautiful
Yeah.
place.
I have. Mhm.
So I've been to California, but it's mostly kind of like the northern part of California. But yeah,
Same.
Yeah, San
I've been
Diego is the one in all the Hollywood movies. All the white
Mhm.
sandy beaches and
Mhm.
palm
right.
trees.
Yeah, so
Any
back
movie
back
that has
to
ever had naval ships in it, U.S. Navy ships, and
Yeah.
that was probably also filmed in San Diego.
Yeah, that's where the Navy
Because
SEALs do all their training.
right in the warmer weather. Probably a good place to do it. I think like if you do your
Exactly.
training, if you do army training in the back end of Scotland, like that's for the real hardcore guys in the
That's
cold
some
water.
hardcore training.
Yeah, you're like, is that a seal? No, that's a real seal. Like. Yeah. Right. Okay. So he's got a PhD with a dissertation in Textana, so grammar and grammar checking in parser-based call at the Centre of Computational Linguistics at University of Manchester. I wonder if that's Manchester, America, or Manchester, England.
Manchester.
Manchester. As he says that, so it probably could be because Manchester's quite famous for tech. So he's conducted research on intersection of AI and language education for 30 years. So he should be a very
That's going to be
well.
great.
Yeah, he'll be a
Mhm.
great speaker. So of
Outstanding.
course he's published loads of books on it. Right. Okay. So Geoff, what else can people expect to see at the conference this year?
Well, we have over 170 presentations, sessions of different kinds that are going to be at the conference this year, Brian, among which will also be featured 19 workshops, starting with 8 on Friday night, which is double what we've usually offered. So if you are into workshops, make sure you're there on Friday night. We'll also have 31 posters, 2 panels, and 1 forum filling out our schedule.
Mhm.
We are going to have a hour-long coffee break and poster session on Saturday morning to give people a lot of time to process the posters, drink coffee, eat snacks, and socialize and make all those connections that we all love to go to the conference for. There'll also be a couple of social events at the conference. We have confirmed a time for a walk in the university area on Friday afternoon. I believe it starts at
Kind of
1
old
o'clock.
town, right?
In the old town there.
Hmm.
The Tokyo chapter of JALT is working with us to set all this up, and they're planning it all. And they've been absolutely amazing with getting all this stuff done. Big thanks to Tokyo chapter. And there will be a run at some point on the weekend too. I'm sorry, I am not much of a runner, so I do not have the information on that.
I'm a runner. I might join the run, but I don't know the time
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'll
All right.
run and stop at the first pub.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I will walk slowly behind you and follow you into the pub there, Brian. Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. So that's poster sessions, presenter sessions, keynote speakers, workshops, panels, and forum. So I guess there's a lot of content there. So we want to try to advise people that the Edzilla system accommodates everybody's asset, whether that's a PDF or your PowerPoint slides or URLs, or it could be even video links or whatever. So we encourage everybody to put your assets in there so that you have got that digital record so that it can be attached to your own digital resume. So as I said before, I have my own digital resume on my website, which is basically where I keep all of my presentations so that I don't have to be faffing about with like handouts and all the rest of it. Like there's QR codes and there's URLs and there's hyperlinks and everything is there. So of course, call people should be in that same kind of field where everything is, like a click away. So, of course, the platforms that many people have their digital work would be ResearchGate, ResearchMap, Google Scholar, Academia, and more. So, of course, as we said in part one, so a podcast can be listed as a publication because it's made public, the same as anything else. And there is a section in your research map for media stuff. So can I ask you guys, do you have a digital resume, and where do you keep all your files, all your goodies?
Sadly don't have one, but research map mostly.
Yeah,
You go ahead,
I do
Brian.
ResearchGate. Yeah, ResearchGate and LinkedIn. Oh no, sorry, I said it.
LinkedIn's legit too.
Yes,
LinkedIn's
you
good.
are.
LinkedIn.
Yeah. I've
Yep.
got just a little bit out there, mostly on Research Map. Um, I just haven't really gotten into it. I have looked at your website a couple of times, Brian, and thought I really ought to talk to him sometime about how he did that because it's really beautiful. You've got a nice setup going there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Where is it,
So of
Brian?
course, I
Where can we see
do
your
on
website?
I do on the cheap. So my website is anthonybriangallagher.weebly.com, and so
Hey, man.
Hey.
I pay zero for
Zero.
that
Yep.
website, and everything links there. I don't know how long that I'm going to run it for before they eventually catch up with me and say you got to pay $10 or something. But I've had it running for a number of years now, and it just makes my life so much easier. Like at the end of the year when I have to write my annual report for university, I think like, oh, what date was that conference, or what was the title? Like, I just copy and paste, like whatever stuff over.
But Brian, the big question is, do you own your own name as a domain name? Like, I own legoujon.com.
If I wanted to spend $10, I could probably buy it, but I'm fine with being .weebly.com. Yeah.
So I do not have the website, but I do possess the domain of my own name.
So maybe I'm doing it from the inside out or from the outside in.
That is so French Canadian, Luke. That really is. I don't know about
It
that.
is.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So remind everybody, please try and upload your asset, so that people can have a look at it before, but definitely have a look at it after the conference, or even if they are in your presentation, so they can see it on their own computer. So like if you go a little bit ahead, they can be looking back or whatever, so that they can follow along. It's definitely the way that we
Yeah.
should all be working.
Exactly. We're going to have a large number of attendees this year, and many people will have questions for you or will be interested in getting information from your presentation. Please go ahead and put those assets up there, because they'll be of use to everybody at the conference and people afterwards as well. It would really be
Right.
helpful.
Right. Okay. So yeah, of course, that's the JALTCALL 2025.edzil.la Edzilla website, which of course is a beautiful website, which makes everybody's life a lot easier, because we can see things beautifully created by our own Gary Ross. Geoff, if people were to have any issues with the conference website or anything like that, what should they do?
Well, Brian, there are a couple of buttons that can be pressed to ask for support, and there's a mailing list that'll be sent out through the mailing list of the conference team. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and contact us through that, and we'll get you a response as quickly as we possibly can. That's pretty much, I
Yeah.
think that's the ideal way to contact the conference team, is directly through the website, right?
Yep, that's it. So
Exactly.
there's actually there's a team of people responding to emails. So yeah, click on that link. Click on the link.
I don't type the email, but I do help Tim Hall respond to them, since we're
Right. So of
sharing
course
links.
Tim is a member for this year, right?
Yes.
Where is Timothy Hall in Japan?
He's based in Sojo with me in
Right.
Kumamoto.
Team Sojo's doing a great
And
job.
Team Sojo is very strong, and we've been answering some question, the four of us. So Robert Rimmerswald, Tim Hall, and Robert Dykes at the same time.
Team
often.
Sojo doing a great job.
Team Sojo.
Doing a great job. Right,
Also
everybody.
known as
that
the
is
Sojo Boys.
yeah.
Exactly.
Right,
Hey,
everybody.
Brian, can I say
that
something
is
real quick?
us. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
You know, I'm not strongly integrated at all in any formal way with JALTCALL, and you know, I just started getting involved with the journal, and this will, like I said, this will be my first conference, so I'm really excited about it. But you know, everyone, you have to go to this conference, and I cannot say more on that, because as we get into AI and as AI gets more integrated into education, being a part of these kinds of expert conferences are going to be so important. JALT is very important too. It's important to go to those more generalized kind of conferences. But JALT call is, you know, I foresee in the future being a very, very integral part of, of the entire JALT ecosystem, more so because of AI. Get out there. I know most of the people that listen to this podcast, you know, they've already got their tickets. Bring your friends, because this kind of stuff is going to be more and more important that you get yourself informed, because you need to inform your students. You need to help your students out, and the only way to do that is to get out to these conferences and meet people and learn stuff.
For sure. Bring a friend, bring an enemy.
Mhm.
Your enemy will soon become your friend. When you go to
Yeah,
JALCAL.
totally.
So, of course, like people remember that famously the JALCAL conference also has a tremendous party on the Saturday night. So the chance for networking there is really good, and I think that nearly everybody that I've ever met at the JALCAL conference is a very friendly person, and I've made very very good friends like over the years with JALCAL. So yeah, definitely come to the conference. So, of course, that conference is July 18th to the 20th. So, even if you find yourself free on that weekend, come on down without any reservation. You can pay on the door and you can enjoy the conference there. Thanks very much for joining us. Look good, John. Joe Suzuki
Thank you.
Parker.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Geoff Carr in Hokkaido. And of
Thank you,
course,
Brian.
myself. Right. Okay. We'll see you next time, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you.